Hey guys, it's Will from Potato Strong. A common question people get when they go vegan is, where do you get your protein, and people worrying about calcium and all that. It's basically because we've been programmed from a young age to associate some of these nutrients with animal products. But it's really kind of funny when you think about it, because you're supposed to eat meat, and which is full of saturated fat and cholesterol, and that's the way you're supposed to get your vitamins and minerals when these animals are eating plants. So all that stuff is available in the plant foods. There's a recent video by FullyRaw Kristina, who's, she's raw, and they did blood test Dr. Garth Davis, and her protein, iron, blood count, calcium, vitamin D, B12, cholesterol was all good. And she's been on that diet for 9 years. And, the sad thing was there's a lot of criticism from people that are probably meat and dairy eaters on there, and just not being happy for somebody. I mean, at a basic human level, being happy when somebody has good results.
So Dr. Garth, am I healthy?
You are, and the answer is yes, you're very healthy.
Yay!
But I think your labs are very interesting because they go to show that a lot of the theories we have about vegans, and especially because you go right to the edge of raw vegan, and there's a lot of thought. So, like, number one, we think raw vegans are going to be protein deficient. Right. And people would say, now I think it's funny because look at you, you don't look protein deficient. I don't think so. And there's a lot of great athletes that follow a diet like yours, but people think you're protein deficient. So a normal protein level would be 6.4 to 8.4, and Kristina is 7.4, right there at a very good, very normal protein level. Her albumin, which is another thing we assess, is completely normal. And her protein levels look great, no issues at all. The next thing that people always say is that a vegan is going to be anemic. Like we're these like sad little low blood count people. Your blood count, hemoglobin is 12.4, completely in the normal range. Your iron levels, they're really pretty good. Your iron store is at 7, above 5 is normal. That's on the lower end of normal. That's good. So high iron is actually associated with cancer and heart disease. And so what we do find with vegans is that we have a low iron, but a good blood count so that we're not iron deficient enough to get anemia. And that's that's exactly where you want to be. Next thing we hear about is that vegans are somehow going to have brittle bones and breaking their bones. Your calcium level is completely normal. And more importantly, we look at a hormone that comes from the parathyroid glands that controls your bone, and if you're calcium deficient and you're not getting enough calcium or anything, your bones would be making your parathyroid glands create a lot of hormone. Yours is not, completely normal.
So my thyroid is functioning well.
Your thyroid and your parathyroid are functioning completely normal.
Good news.
Totally perfect. Obviously, as we would expect, your cholesterol levels, your LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, is 61. That is so ridiculously good that you will never get a heart attack.
That is the best news ever. I am never going to have a heart attack.
You're not going to die of a heart attack or a stroke, that's for sure.
That's awesome.
Your good cholesterol, your HDL is low, and people think that's bad. It's not bad. It's just a carrier protein for lipids. If you're not eating fat, and you're not eating fat, you're not going to have a high HDL, so that's normal. Surprising to me, because the one thing I see deficient in just about everybody is vitamin D. And your vitamin D is 41, which is really good. And you don't supplement vitamin D.
I don't supplement vitamin D, so that's pretty awesome.
That's an amazingly good value. And that's probably because you're in the sun and you're outside and in nature.
I'm really liking my results right now.
Your results are looking pretty good. Obviously your B vitamins are beautiful because that's what we see. Now the big thing we always see with people
the last one would be?
B12.
Okay.
And we think that there's B12 deficiencies. Now B12 is the easiest thing to supplement. You've started supplementing it.
Right, so I have not taken any supplements in the past years, except for this past year I've taken 2 B12 supplements. So. And
her B12 is greater than measurable. If you're going to be vegan, especially raw vegan, actually any vegan, I do recommend a B12 supplement.
So I've been fully raw vegan for over 9 years, and these are my blood results, and they came back pretty perfect.
And
she had one value that was a bit high, was the triglycerides. They were just over 200, and ideally they're supposed to be 149 or less, I guess. But it turns out that she didn't do the fasting state quite, test. So those values would probably be, different if you did the fasting test. I did a video a while back. It was about 10 months in. I think it was April. So I started this plant-based, starch-based diet at the end of June. And I've got a video where I did before and after, but I'm just going to recap. The total cholesterol was 112.5. That's milligrams per deciliter. In Canada, that value is 2.91. That's my total cholesterol. So I've converted these to the American units, 112.5 total cholesterol. Her value, like I say, with the triglycerides was a little over 200, and mine was 131.1. But I had fasted from the night before. So I don't think that that might be a problem, but the values are incredible for her as well as myself and many others. And those are anecdotal stories, but it's happening to everybody, more people that do this. A lot of times you'll see people doing paleo and Atkins and that type of thing, which gives you some short-term results because a lot of times you're eating less calories. And when you go into ketosis, your body will burn the fat, but it's a really unhealthy state to be in. And so you could get some good results. And then the other thing is activity level and exercise can help. So all I'm here to do is talk about what worked for me. So at the end of the day, you do want to look at the science and the tests of groups of people that have shown amazing results on these diets and plant-based lifestyle and everything, but you gotta check your values and really determine if it's working for you. And this is going to work for the vast majority of people. Just so many misconceptions out there. And if you do go starch-based, or if you go vegan and you do have issues with triglycerides, first, a couple of things that I have learned is that first thing you need to do is, I probably wouldn't test myself at first if I just started doing the diet. So I waited 10 months because I wanted to give my body a chance to get rid of the fats and get rid of the, any kind of toxins and everything, and just kind of clear itself out. So, because when you're losing fat, that fat has to go through your body, and could be in your blood and getting flushed out. So I didn't want that stuff floating around in my blood. And then you've got your arteries will clean out. So there's fats and cholesterol in your arteries that hopefully is cleaning itself out. So I didn't want to test myself too soon. The other thing is, so that's one problem that people they wait, maybe a couple of weeks or a month and they get their blood tested. And they could be in some sort of a transition phase at that point. The other thing is, just to understand this, the way the body works is that triglycerides are created by the liver via when fructose comes in. I'm not saying that this is bad or anything. What I'm saying is that that's the mechanism for the triglycerides to be created. So what happens is the body creates glycogen and it stores that in the organs and the muscles. Once that's full, it has nowhere else to store the energy that you're consuming. So it releases triglycerides, which are just fats, into the blood. And that goes somewhere. So the idea is, the liver creates these fats, say, hey, here's some more energy storage, and then it gets, stored or burnt off. So some people that could, they may consume a lot of fructose, and there's different, I'll talk about where it comes from. It can get burned off through exercise as well. And it also depends on what else you're eating. So once if you don't have your glycogen stores full, you're not going to necessarily create the triglycerides. So the way that those get filled up in the case of a starch-based diet is through eating starches like potatoes, rice, and all that. And chances are you're getting a lot of glycogen storage through the starch. If you look at all these blood tests that she had and I had, and just in general, there's all that stuff comes from the plants. And there's one thing, B12, that is a bacteria that is in the soil, and we used to eat dirt from the soil and stuff like that. That animals get into their intestines from being in the dirt, and that is can be easily supplemented. And vitamin D, is a bit of a question there. If you get enough sun where you live, you might want to supplement that. But I don't want to get crazy into all the nutrients and just each one and how much you're getting, and the idea that maybe more is better. But these tests just show is that you don't have to worry if you're eating meat and dairy. You just have to realize that you've sort of been programmed to think about it in terms of what meat and dairy products should I eat to get that, and that's really not correct. All that stuff comes from the plants, and that's what the animals are eating. Like even omega-3, people think, well, you got to eat fish. Well, the fish are getting that from the plants, the algae and stuff in the water. So you're better off. And the thing is, when Bonnie talked about this in one of the videos, the higher up the food chain is, the more toxins are stored. Like, so when you have fish with fats, all the mercury and the various toxins are stored in the fish, in animals as well, the hormones and the toxins. So when you eat those animals, you're getting, they're higher up in the food chain. They've been absorbing. Well, in the case of the animals with the factory farming, getting injected and a lot of stuff like that. And basically, these things are in these animals. So if you go direct to the source, which is the plants, that's your least risk of getting problems. So anyways, I probably went on a bit long there, but just wanted to say that there's no issues with eating a plant-based vegan diet, whether it's raw, cooked, whatever, as far as your nutrients go. So don't worry about that. Just eat healthy, and everything will take care of itself. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.